Hey, welcome back to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. This is the last bonus episode before the Holistic Health Bundle ends. It ends in 2 days. And this is your final reminder to grab it before it is gone. $50 for $8,000 worth of content at your fingertips to help you along your holistic, natural healing and plant-based journey. There is a lot of plant-based resources in the Holistic Bundle, even though it is not a plant-based bundle, but there's detoxification protocols, healing from trauma, understanding the power of nature and herbs and low tox living, even creating your own skincare if you're not already getting Beautycounter from me and switch to a more natural beauty regimen. But today I have a really special guest. It is Dara Rhodes, and she is awesome. That's all I have to say. She created a ebook for the Holistic Health Bundle called The Truth About Salt, Oil, Sugar, and Caffeine. And when I saw that title, I was like, yes, I need to interview this beautiful, amazing woman, because you know that I teach a whole food, plant-based, SOS-free lifestyle over here, free of added salt, oil, and sugar as much as possible. And I also ditch caffeine in the most part for my life, just because I feel better without it. And I can find my own energy through whole natural foods and proper hydration and good adequate sleep and all the other things that I do to take care of myself. So no, I'm not dogging on caffeine, but you'll maybe hear a little bit of truth here and what she sees with her clients and their improvements when they ditch caffeine. But Dara actually is out in San Diego, California, and she is a regenerative detoxification specialist, and she teaches people how to heal the human body from virtually any disease through coaching and online resources. She is also the owner of the Detox Cottage, and she helps people come to her space to heal with all of the different modalities that holistic living has to offer. And you'll learn more about that in this episode. But again, here is your final reminder that the Holistic Health Bundle will be gone for good in just 2 days. So it's going to be gone on July 30th, and you will never be able to get over 100, it's actually 117 ebooks, resources, video courses, and more to get you on your path to better living, to help you start to detox from all of the toxins out there in the environment and in our food, and help to heal and help to find root cause and help to support your gut health. There's doctors, dietitians, naturopaths, health practitioners, recipe creators that have contributed so many amazing things in this bundle. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to message me. You know where to find me. Find me on Instagram at the Urban Pharmacy. You can text my business phone number, 317-520-2320. You can comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. I am here to help you on your life to better living. I want to help you rise up. This is your opportunity. Your time is now. It's all about 1% better. That's what I tell my clients all the time in Holistic Wellness Society and the ones that I work with one-on-one. It's just 1% better, taking one step to improve your health. It doesn't matter how big it is. It's all worth celebrating as well when you do take your health into your own hands and when you prioritize your well-being, because you matter so much. So final call to get the Holistic Health Bundle. Click down on the show notes to grab it. Here's Dara. Dara Rhodes, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. I am thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So I found you through the Holistic Health Bundle, and I was so stoked to see that you have this contribution that is called, what is it? The Truth About Salt, Oil, and Sugar. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and caffeine. I put caffeine in
Oh,
there too.
yes, and caffeine. And we could go into flour too if we wanted to, right? But okay, so this is something that I was like, whoa, I got to see if she's on, if she's sharing the same message that I'm sharing. I didn't know if you were going to say the truth that salt is super good for you, or the truth that sugar is we just need it and it's not as bad as we think. Okay, no, your messaging is the same as mine. I teach a whole food, plant-based, SOS free lifestyle. And I think you're even more raw and you're a detox specialist. And I want to know more about that. So your handle is d.r.holistics on Instagram. So for those of you who are listening, make sure you go follow Dara right now because she's got so much good information and she knows a lot about detox. So Dara, I want to know, yes, about what you do. And then I want to talk about, or I want to know about your journey of how you got into what you do. So 2 questions there.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess it all started with, and you'll know the documentary called Forks Over Knives.
Yes.
So that I watched that documentary about 13 or so years ago. And that's really, at that point in my life, I just thought everyone gets overweight and sick, and there's nothing really you can do about it. You're just going to end up taking a lot of meds, and there is no responsibility in that. And so watching this documentary, it just like light bulbs went off. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. Of course you can heal, and of course the mac and cheese I'm eating every day is probably what's affecting my health,
Yeah.
and on and on, right? So really that documentary just got the wheels turning, and I just became obsessed with studying holistic health and healing, and it put me on this long journey of studying and trying to understand how to fully heal the human body naturally. And that kind of led me on this path of whole food, plant-based, and then holistic health and healing too, because I love using that as like the diet aspect. And then I love holistic health because it's encompassing, healing your mind, your soul, your emotions, healing trauma, and just all the other things that it takes to heal, right? Other than just diet.
Oh, Dara, hold on. We have a visitor. I'm going to
Mhm.
pause this 1
Okay.
second. We had a visitor in the office, Cohen. Cohen, my son, was just, he doesn't really care if I'm doing interviews. he has his own agenda. Okay, so you watched Forks Over Knives and you got really obsessed with plant-based, and then you got into holistic health.
Yeah, and that just kind of put me on my path to creating my little wellness detox retreat center here in San Diego. We offer yoga, meditation, ice bath, sauna, various different body works, and then people stay too, and I put them on custom detox protocols with herbs, and they do all the treatments, and I give them coaching and lectures. And then of course I help people through educating and coaching as well. So
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, tell me more about this stay. Like people sleeping over?
yeah, we have one tiny house on the property. So we can have up to 2 people come and stay for one night, couple weeks, really however long you want, and do a full detox experience or self-care,
Ooh.
and really whatever you want, we kind of tailor it to
Oh my
each
God,
person.
that is amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So it's not like supervised water fasting, like we know some doctors do. You're helping people stay nourished. You're helping
Mhm,
people detox from the standard American diet, most likely,
mhm.
and heal from within to the outside. That's amazing. I used to own a Pilates/yoga/bar studio, and what you're doing sounds magnificent. And something like big picture dream life to me would be to have like what you're doing. And yeah, we've even dreamt about like having multiple like tiny houses where people could
Mhm.
actually stay and go and actually harvest the food and then go and juice it. Like that is amazing. I didn't know you did this.
Like
My mind is blown. I'm
part of
so excited.
my dream as well is just having a big wellness center with the farm, with the cafe and the juice bar,
Right.
and all of the things,
Yeah,
right?
where it's just a fully like integrated system.
Mhm.
That's incredible. And you're in what state now?
I'm in California. I'm in San Diego.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Well, congratulations on that. And
Mm.
following your purpose and being a healer. That's so incredible. So let's dig in a little bit into salt, oil, and sugar. and caffeine,
Yeah.
because plant-based doesn't have that at the end. I mean, like, plant-based is plant-based. What is plant-based? You know, like, I mean, we all know that vegan doesn't mean healthy, like, whatsoever, because
Right.
Oreos are vegan.
Yeah.
But plant-based, people could try to get away with different things with that as well. But we're focusing on whole plant foods, and salt, oil, sugar are actually additions to these natural whole foods. And caffeine can be, how does this all roll together? I want to know your position, and why you wrote an ebook on salt, oil, and sugar, and why you help people realize that it's not necessary or even normal to put
Mhm.
on food.
Yeah, I think that it's easy for people to understand, okay, I shouldn't be eating Oreos and I shouldn't be eating this. I should be eating more fruits and veggies. But I think it's so deeply ingrained in us to like put salt in our food and cook with oil and have our desserts and our sweets and um yeah, it's just so prevalent. Every single
Yeah.
person I know is, I mean, for the most part, has salt in their diet or is like heavily addicted to it,
Mhm.
as well as caffeine and sugar and oil, right? It's just, um, yeah, I just think it's a topic that is not talked about very often.
Yeah.
It's a little like taboo. Like you said, everyone's putting salt in their water. They're like, get your electrolytes, get your hydration. And I'm like, oh, this is so backwards.
Right, right. So what do you think about, let's just break it down, like salt, oil, sugar, and then caffeine. Like, what do you
Mhm.
think about, because I mean, I was chatting with you just really briefly before this, like, people are buying packets of salt right now, like with flavorings, or I don't really even know. I haven't even looked into them because I just don't even want to know. Like, I know that there are flavors and colorants in a lot of them, but they're like pure salt, and they're adding these to their water. And there are doctors out there, specifically ones that are pushing lots of meat and salt, and saying that we've been programmed to think that salt causes high blood pressure, which it does if you read the medical literature. Okay, it does. And if you know anything about physiology, um, if you put salt in something, fluid is going to pull into it, right? Like, it's going to go there to try to
Mhm.
dilute it. And yeah, anyways, people are just pounding the salt. And I'm like, they're feeling better. Dara, my opinion on this, and I want to know yours, like, with these packets of things, they're getting lots of trace minerals that they're not getting in their diet because they're eating processed
Mm.
foods, or they're eating too many animal products, which they might not be getting micronutrients from that. Um,
Mhm.
and they are they are feeling better because they're getting all of those trace minerals. But salt just happened, like sodium in like a pink Himalayan salt, you're getting much more than just sodium. You're getting all of these trace minerals, right? And so I think this is just my philosophy, that people are feeling so much better when they have these because they're getting the minerals that they need outside of sodium.
Mhm.
And I do feel like if this is an ongoing thing that people are doing, I mean, I was just listening to Dr. Joel Furman with regarding salt yesterday, and he was just saying it's lifelong exposure. So like, if people are doing this like day in, day out, continuously adding these little micro cuts to their endothelial layer,
Yeah.
what is that doing to our cardiovascular system, right? And
Right.
it's adding stress to the body. So I know that you're a detox person and like a detox specialist. So what is your position on why we don't need to be adding salt to our food?
Right. So obviously, sodium is an essential mineral that we need that is absolutely necessary for hydration in the body. And I think that's where the confusion is. is because salt has sodium, but it's really sodium chloride, right? And it's an inorganic mineral, which means it's like basically in rock form or dirt form. And what we need is organic sodium, which is only from plants. So what plants do is they take the sodium from the ground, the inorganic sodium, and they turn them into cell salts, which is an organic mineral and is one that we can actually absorb into our cells. So an inorganic mineral is not going to be able to go into our cells, which is why we don't eat dirt and rocks and, eat our iron just from eating pieces of metal. It doesn't work that way, right? And so salt is the same thing. Even organic Himalayan pink salt is about 75% sodium chloride, which is now has chlorine in it.
Yeah.
And we know that that's not okay. And a lot of these sea salt, these high quality sea salts, of course, it's better than your table salt that has like glass and who else? I forget what else they have tested. Plastics maybe are in there. They put fillers, right? And so, or maybe it's sand. Anyways, of course, sea salt is going to be a better option for you. However, it's still 75% sodium chloride. It's still going to have a lot of the same negative effects, like you said, affecting those endothelial cells, hardening the arteries, raising blood pressure. And even the minerals that you get in there, that salt is like cooked at a really high heat to make it safe for consumption. And so a lot of those minerals end up getting damaged anyways. So it's always best to get your sodium from organic sources, plant sources. Pretty much all plants have sodium, but the ones that have really high amounts are celery and leafy greens, beet greens, and spinach. And then also sea beans or sea asparagus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have
you heard of green salt?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I use green salt all the time.
I gave that to my dad. I was like, get off the table salt and have this, please.
Good. I was harvesting some at this lagoon here in San Diego. I was going down there because it's covered with them. So I was going and harvesting them, and I was putting them in my dehydrator and blending them up. And then I found this company, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would so rather just pay this company for this because it's a lot of work.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's a little salty, almost succulent looking plant that grows in a salty marsh and takes all that inorganic sodium, turns it into organic sodium, and it's like a little salt stick. It's so salty, and it's a great replacement and a good source of natural organic sodium.
That's awesome.
Which is a good thing. Yeah.
I've also read that tomatoes are quite high in sodium.
They are.
I really do think that they taste nice and salty.
They do. They're salty.
And to people who are not used to not having salt on their food, it takes a while, right, for them to kind of detox from that. And like food just doesn't taste, like whole natural food does not taste very good for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, what's that book? The Pleasure Trap is such a good one, right? They say give yourself they say 1 day of water fasting to cleanse your palate, or 3 days of juice, or I forget what the larger quantity is, but that is what can kind of quickly cleanse your palate. Otherwise, if you're just switching to whole foods with no salt, it might take a little while to get those taste buds back and get out of that pleasure trap.
Yeah. So do you eat mostly raw? Are you mostly raw, or are you just gonna help people with raw detox?
I do raw till like dinner. But I'm not strict. Like I just went to lunch with my mom and had some potatoes, and it's just kind of whatever. But I do feel best when I'm eating kind of fruit all day, big salad, and then some sort of cooked dinner. And then when I do my days of all raw, I feel amazing then as
Mhm.
well. And when I put people on detoxes or cleanses, those are always raw,
Yeah.
most of the juices and smoothies and things. So yeah, I love the raw foods. I really try and do as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I think we thrive on a raw diet.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
Um, and there is like more and more science coming out about that too, which is awesome.
Mhm.
I will also say I haven't gotten Dr. Goldhammer, who was one of the co-authors of Pleasure Trap, onto the podcast yet. I have not yet done that. But
He's
I did just see him at a nutrition conference, and um, he's one of a kind, and he's so sarcastic, and it's hilarious. And he's like, we're adding chemicals to our food. Like, this is like, we're so, like you said, Dara, just so programmed
Mhm.
to think that this is just completely normal, to have to take whole natural food out of its natural state in order to enjoy it. Um, and just on a really side note, and I know that this is not going to be the organic salts that you promote, but just a fun fact for those listeners out there, like, if you do have like high blood pressure or salt, like, and you're trying to reduce your sodium, um, did you know, Dara, and maybe you do know this, but that miso, I learned this in like How Not to Die, um, by Dr. Greger. Miso paste actually doesn't raise your blood pressure, even though it's incredibly high in sodium.
Well, it's interesting. Maybe I have heard that it's funny how, when you've been studying, I've been studying all this for 13 years. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just forget something,
Oh
but you're
God. Yeah.
implementing it and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I forgot. That's why I'm doing this. And yeah, that's one thing I do use a lot is chickpea miso
Yes.
paste.
I love the chickpea. I have to go to a special store. There's literally only one store in
Yeah.
Indiana, I swear, like, or at least around me, that has the chickpea one.
Yeah.
Not to say all the other ones are terrible, but I love the chickpea miso, and
Yeah.
I'll even use it in like baked goods for people who
Yeah.
are like, just anyways. So that's a fun fact. And do you know who Dr. Frank Sabatino is?
Mm.
He does medical supervised water fasting. And he worked at True North, and he's
Okay.
been doing
I
this.
know for sure.
Yeah, he's been doing this like lifestyle for so long, and he does that out in Florida, medically supervised water fasting. And I did have him on my podcast, and he doesn't call it the pleasure trap, Dara. He calls it the pleasure prison, because our taste buds are literally like hostage. And
Yes.
even my husband, like, we've been doing like the SOS free like lifestyle, if you will, for like the last 3 years. Ever really since the pandemic hit, I just started learning more, and I was like, God, I need to stop adding so much. I don't need to be guzzling, maple syrup and stuff like that, like,
Yeah.
and adding salt to everything, like. And so yeah, we kind of down regulated the taste bud hype. And he told me just a few days ago that he's been getting like coffees, which we need to talk about caffeine. He's been getting coffees with like vanilla syrup. I'm like, Kyle, what happened? Like, what's going on? And he's even
Uh-huh.
been eating like bags of chips. I'm like, whoa, buddy, you are in the pleasure trap. And he's like, it is addicting. I'm like, what are you doing? We need to get you back out, because that is going to grab a hold of you. And he and I
Yeah.
used to be really addicted, like super bad, to processed foods in general and sugar. So it's
Mhm.
it's a trap. It's a trap. So let's talk about sugar. I want to know your position on sugar. Like, are you like a no raw honey, no maple syrup, no, or are you talking refined sugars? Or are you just like, I only have fruit as sugar? Like, what's your position?
Yeah. I believe that the best form of sugar is just from fruit and vegetables, right? But I have maple syrup and like coconut sugar. I will use these things for certain things, right? If I want to make a nice treat. Um, but it's really the processed sugar that I want people to get away from.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, and also understand that it's not necessarily just the sugar or the carbohydrates, right? Because every single cell in our body runs on glucose for its energy source. So we need sugar, we need fruits, we need vegetables that have carbohydrates, and um, it's just about sticking with the whole food form, right? As
Yeah.
whole as you can get.
Mhm.
So um, yeah, that's really it. I just believe as soon as you start tinkering with nature and the way things are already perfect, is there's gonna be chaos and negative effect, right?
Mhm.
Anytime you yeah, you just break the laws of nature, really is what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just going back to the salt thing, like I'm gonna stop dogging on salt now. But when it comes to adding salt to your food, and you probably know this, Dara, but like there's been studies shown, like I really specialize, you're specializing in like detox, and that's not something that I've gotten like training on yet. Like I know that there's a process of detoxification, and like clients of mine have definitely experienced detoxification symptoms just from trying to get off processed foods, right?
Mhm.
But like we know that if you are dealing with overweight and being overweight, or just food addiction in general, that if you salt your food, you will eat up to 2 times as much as if you don't.
Right. Hmm.
I mean, so for people that are struggling um, with their weight, that's something to know. Um, yeah. And if you are not struggling with your weight, and if you need to gain weight, maybe adding some salt in a organic form, like some green salt, right, can actually make the vegetables and all of the things, the more whole natural foods, taste better, so that you can actually get them in your body.
Hmm.
I just wanted to add that fact.
Yeah, I love that.
So you're getting people off of sugars, and you write about that in your book, about the refined sugar and how that's detrimental to our body.
Yeah.
Let's move on to oil.
Yeah. Yeah. So oil is a processed food. Of course, there's the highly processed seed oils, which is kind of what everyone's talking about, which I love that, there's a little bit of hate coming out on oil. Like it's a good start.
Right, right.
People are trying to avoid all the seed oils, and that's awesome. But people are still just scooping olive oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, like all these things, which I know that's a little bit separate than oil, but I put it in the same category.
Yeah.
They're just shoveling it in just like it's totally healthy. And it's like, sure, olive oil is healthy compared to canola oil, but that doesn't mean it's healthy. Like, what else is it healthy compared to? This is kind of the only
Right.
thing. So, it's a processed food. And as soon as you strip the fat from all of the fiber, the water, the antioxidants, the phytonutrients, all the vitamins and minerals, all the good stuff is what's left. And all you have is pure fat. And this fat, since it doesn't have those things, it goes rancid really quick, which causes free radicals in the body. And, it goes straight into your bloodstream, which causes really thick blood. And again, going back to those endothelial cells, just tearing them apart, right?
Yeah.
And usually something oily is also something salty too. So your heart and your arteries are just like, what is happening? And that really is my gosh, so detrimental. What was that study done on it was either butter or lard and olive oil. And they were showing how olive oil raised good cholesterol, lowered bad, so it was a good ratio. And then butter or lard, I forget which one it was, raised bad cholesterol, lowered good, worse ratio. However, both groups were progressing in heart disease exactly the same. So it didn't really matter the ratio. So a lot of people think that olive oil is heart healthy because it raises good cholesterol, lowers bad. So it's like, oh, well, that's a good thing. And really, it's still promoting heart disease in the same way that lard is, which is banned in a lot of places to
Mhm.
use, lard. So, yeah, it's not good. And people in, the Mediterranean are are not healthy because of olive oil. They're healthy because of all the plants they eat. And that's another argument people like to come up with is like, my 100 and whatever grandma in Greece, try telling that to her that her olive oil is not good. I'm like, well, she's living a different life and it's really healthy. And, you know, olive
Right.
oil is not gonna kill you right away. It's kind of just a slower thing that's um yeah, it's not really doing any good. But it's definitely not promoting longevity or health, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing, this oil topic. Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, again, coming back to where I'm positioned here and helping people, it's the highest caloric density food on earth.
Exactly. On
And
Earth.
m- the
With the
majority
least
of
amount of
people
nutrition.
do what?
It's the most caloric food, but it also has the least amount of vitamins and minerals. So
Yeah.
it's purely empty calories.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy um how much food has oil added to it. Um it's just everywhere and people can't figure out why their weight won't budge and they're fearful of eating a big plate of potatoes, multiple potatoes, right? That has no added oil. Um I still need to I want to do like a comparison side by side. I'll eat two baked potatoes like no problem, like large ones. But if I were to go and eat I used to eat like the bags of frozen fries, like the Alexia brand. And I thought that
Right.
I was getting the healthier ones because I think it was made with olive oil. Maybe it was avocado oil. I don't know. But the portion size was so much smaller and I was
Mhm.
never satisfied, but the calories were just adding up. And so if people would just simply remove the oil from these healthful foods like a potato, they
Mhm.
could reach their ideal body weight in a much easier way. And like you said, it's just stripped of nutrients. And like you said, with the Mediterraneans, in people in Greece and stuff like that, yeah, they are having a lot of olive oil, but they're also moving their body to burn all of that off, on a consistent and daily basis, like all the time. We're living a sedentary life. We're in America. Most Americans are overweight and obese, and I am not fat shaming. You know that. Please, you know that. But we know that. I mean, I was interviewing Chris Wark of Crispy Cancer yesterday, and he was telling me we being overweight and obese is the number 2 reason why people get cancer. So
Mhm.
we have to just know that if oil is the most calorically dense food on earth, let's just not get it unless we're cool with having tiny little amounts of food and we can keep our calories in check. Plus it's just
Right.
nutrient deplete. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Have the whole food instead. Have the whole avocado
Right.
instead, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I also like how you say it thickens the blood. That's just like a detoxification specialist. That's instead of trying to get too sciencey, let's just be real about if we're putting the oil in, it's going to make our think about what happens when we pour oil down our sink. I think about that all the time, or how hard it is to get off of dishes. It's happening within the body the same way.
Clogging us up.
Yeah, it is. So
Mhm.
let's talk about caffeine now, because I mean, my husband right now at this moment in July of 2023, he's hooked because he's not just having caffeine, he's having caffeine and sugar, like refined sugar in 2 ways, because he's probably getting
Yeah.
soy milk in there too, which has sugar. I'm just I just, you can't control everybody, but I'm like, honey, I want to keep you here alive, and thriving. We got to do something about this. So
Mhm.
how do you help people
Yeah.
with this
So I
caffeine
know
dependency?
caffeine, it's funny how all of these topics too, when you start telling them, they're like so triggering for people and they're primal and they're like, don't you say anything about my coffee.
Totally.
don't you tell me stop cooking with my oil, right?
I
People
know.
are, oh, so caffeine is a stimulant, right? And it is basically borrowed energy. It's not real energy. You're not actually getting any true dynamic energy from it. You're just blocking your tired receptors, and which makes you not feel tired. And you're getting this just like anxious,
Yeah.
energy about you, and it's depleting your energy. And if people can't go a whole day without their caffeine because they're so exhausted, like you have an energy problem and you got to figure out where you can get your natural dynamic energy, because you're probably not eating right, you're probably not sleeping right, you're not drinking water, you're not going out in the sun, you know. It's like, let's get real energy. Why deplete our bodies, and why should we stress ourselves out? It raises cortisol levels, which, if we're speaking on the topic of gaining weight, cortisol just packs it on, keeps you holding on to all of that weight. Because when you're stressed out, the body doesn't want to eliminate things, it wants to hold things on because it's in that survival mode. So it really makes people gain weight and stress. I mean, we all know stress is like the worst thing. We're all overdosed on stress already. We don't need extra. And you know, our hormones, women right now are all, I feel like everyone's talking about their hormones and trying to balance them, and they've got all these issues. And stress and cortisol is like the last thing you want if you're trying to balance your hormones. So, caffeine, I am like a hard no with caffeine. I don't even do any dark chocolate, and I don't recommend anyone to even do that, which is a little devastating. And because I do love chocolate.
So you're no cocoa, cacao girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once in a while, like my friends always joke, if we're like going to a show or a concert, or I don't doing something big and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I like need a little boost, I'll have like a little bit of cacao, I'll have like a little bite, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, Dara's getting
Ah.
crazy. Like, watch out. There's having
I
chocolate.
love it.
And because that, having been off of stimulants for so long, just having one little square of dark chocolate, like my heart gets racing.
Yeah.
Like it,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that is a rare thing for me. But yeah, and you know what? People say that like caffeine is out of your system, by the end of the day, but really it's in your system for a lot longer, and it's affecting your sleep. You're not able to get into as deep of a recovery state
Mm.
with it in your system, even if you only have it in the morning. So,
Right. Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it go on and on, but it's just, yeah.
It is depleting, and especially in this day and age, like, and there is arguments out there saying, look, there's benefits of coffee, like, and they'll show all the studies and stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
I've seen like it's the highest source of antioxidants in the American diet. Like that just shows how ridiculously low in antioxidants people are eating, that like that coffee is actually the highest source. Like what?
The only
Um,
actual whole food plant that like people are eating, probably, except for maybe the lettuce in their burger or something.
right, right. I know, or the ketchup for their fries. Like, so yeah, when we're just robbing our body of the nutrients that it needs, like of course we're not going to have the energy to show up, or to be able to get through the day without that stimulant. And like I definitely experienced burnout, like adrenal burnout and just total burnout, and I
Mhm.
actually turned to caffeine um to try to get through it, and it just made things worse. It was terrible. But I actually ended up getting off of coffee, and not to say that like I won't have like a cup of coffee if I'm like in Hawaii or something and they're making me something like on a farm, or I don't know. Like
Right.
I just don't. But I also know that it understanding more about like food addiction, um it actually triggers overeating, and it triggers binges.
Mm.
And it triggers, yeah, like erratic eating behaviors. So that's something out there for people to know. Caffeine can definitely do that. And I actually I like weaned myself off of caffeine with cacao. I
Mhm.
used dates and hemp seeds and hot water and a scoop of raw cacao,
Yeah.
and blended that and made a morning drink.
That
Um,
is so yummy, and it's like the
yeah.
perfect replacement for people weaning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and I just kind of worked my way, and now I just drink water processed decaffeinated sencha tea.
Mm.
So that's, yeah. And I'm so thankful that I don't have to rely on that, because I remember how bad my sleep was. And really, caffeine can be, some people are fine, but like most people aren't. And especially since we know that most people aren't eating like totally clean, which is what you're promoting and I'm promoting. And
Mhm.
um, so anything else that you want to add, like that we haven't covered, that you have in your ebook or that you help to teach people when it comes to detoxification, how to support their bodies?
Yeah. I'm so just huge on getting back to nature. I really think that we are so removed from nature that we have forgotten that like we're a part of it, and the closer we get back to nature, the closer we get back to what it means to be a human, what our human nature is, what our human species specific diet is supposed to be, the more we get back to that is when we truly find healing in the whole body. And I just love looking at nature to find answers. Um, I think there's so much confusion out there because there's so much dogma and money and marketing behind. You read an article and it's like, butter is healthy, it's the best thing for you. And then this article says, no, butter is the worst thing for you. And it's like, people are so confused.
Yeah.
And every other animal on this entire planet knows exactly what their diet is supposed to be. They're not confused. They're just eating their stuff. And, we're over here so out of tune with our instincts and with our DNA that we're just like, what are we supposed to do? And that confusion just leads us back down the road of our habits and conditioning, which is processed foods and junk. And so, yeah, just getting back to nature, getting outside and um yeah, finding yourself, finding your true self and like what that means, you know.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do
Hmm.
you work with people virtually?
I do. Yeah.
So tell us how we can get in touch with you and stay connected.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Holistics, and my website is the detoxcottage.com. The Detox Cottage is my little retreat center here. And yeah, through there you'll be able to find, I have an online course, I have some ebooks, I've got this ebook coming out in this bundle that we're going to do together. And yeah, and then I do some one-on-one coaching as well. So you can find me either on my Instagram, send me a message, or on my website, thedetoxcoach.com. And yeah, those are the ways.
Awesome, Dara. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Really,
of course.
truly appreciate it. And I'm super excited that I know you now and that we have connected. And um, I really am so thankful for all of the amazing work that you're doing to help
Thank
people.
you. Thank you for having me. This was so nice.
You're welcome. Well, we will see each other soon.
Yes, love it.